Hey guys, it's Flying Scorpion here, and today I did some testing with my girlfriend comparing the affinity that we get from running the Steel Path versus the affinity we get for running just normal gameplay, and we were running on Hydron. I have some notes here. I'll pull the notes up, I think in the video editing. I'll just put this up on the screen. So we ran Hydron, and before I say anything, I'll talk about some of the controlled stuff and some of the variables that we didn't take control over. So for the controlled stuff, I was using Saren, she was using Trinity. We did 10 waves of Hydron on both the Steel Path and on normal difficulty. I didn't change anything in my loadout. But we were not playing in a private game mode. We were playing on public settings. We wanted to get people to join us because we are trying to be efficient with our time. We actually do need to level up her Trinity. So this isn't an ideal experiment where everything was under control. The people who joined us, they may or may not have had corrosive projection, and that is worth considering because that does have an impact on how fast how fast you can kill the enemies, especially on the Steel Path when they have an armor multiplier. I was not running corrosive projection. My girlfriend on her Trinity Prime was running corrosive projection, so there's that. And also, while we were running on normal mode, the amount of enemies that spawn is dependent upon the amount of players that are in the mission. And we had 4 players for the first 5 minutes and only 3 players for, or not the first 5 minutes, but the first 5 waves. And then we had 3 players for the next 5 waves. So that reduced our the amount of enemies that were on the map, which I think is fair because that is something that's going to happen a lot of the time when you're trying to level something up. Like, you're not always going to have 4 people that stay all the way to the end. Whereas on the Steel Path, from what I understand, you get maximum spawn rate regardless of whether or not you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 players, which is a nice thing. So I have the numbers here. I'll put them up on the screen. This is just from a single test from a not perfect run or anything like that. But I have the affinity. I had a lens on every single one of my items and on the Warframe so I can see how much affinity everything got and added it all up together. I spent minimal time in operator mode, very, very little time in operator so that wouldn't really throw it off too much. The totals were actually very close. I got 10,000 total, almost 11,000 total affinity for running Hydron 10 waves on normal difficulty. And then I got about 15.5 thousand affinity for running 10 waves of Hydron on the Steel Path. The difference in the time balanced out pretty close, actually. And that's that it took 9.4 minutes to do those 10 waves on normal difficulty and 14.6 minutes to do those 10 waves on the Steel Path. And the XP per minute, or the affinity per minute, was very close. Just close to about 1100 for both, 1100-ish. So does that mean that the Steel Path is something that's worth farming for affinity? I think it might be. One of the things to note with normal difficulty is that the what's the word I'm looking for? The enemies are super fast to kill in the first 2 waves. Like, the first 2 waves are over in seconds, especially if you're running with a Saren. I just jump in there, I drop my nuke a couple times, boom, first wave's done. Second wave, drop my nuke 2 or 3 times, boom, second wave's done. Go on to the third wave. As you're getting close to 10 waves, the enemies are actually starting to survive those nukes, and it's starting to take longer. And so the speed advantage that you have for running it on normal mode, I think, would decline much faster because the enemies already take a long time to kill on the Steel Path, and actually they're not really dying so much from my ability. They're mostly just dying from my sword, from my melee weapon. This also raises potential concerns over balance in terms of weapons, because I think many people pointed out, and I would have to agree, melee seems to be way more viable, or just it's so much more efficient to run melee than it is to use your ranged weapons on the Steel Path. But I didn't really use my ranged weapons that much, to be honest. I think that there's some arguments to be made where I'm not going to concern myself too much with that, to be honest. Mostly I'm focusing on the affinity per minute and comparing it. One of the questions I sort of have to raise is, why did the developers put in a resource drop chance booster, or resource booster, whatever it is, and a mod drop chance booster on the Steel Path, but they didn't include an affinity booster. That's kind of, it's kind of an interesting decision to make. And so when I'm comparing these two tests, obviously if they had the affinity booster active for the steel path, it would be way better to run the steel path. Probably too good, maybe. I don't know. Kind of hard to say. I think it might actually would be too good, because it would blow normal mode out of the water. And I think it's fair that the steel path can be more efficient. And I think honestly, if you're going to run for more than 10 waves, I think the steel path might be more efficient, because the speed advantage that normal have would probably start to taper off pretty quick. But this would warrant more testing. I think someone else will have to go out there and do more testing. I just wanted to make a quick video. My girlfriend's actually waiting for me right now to finish this video editing so we can go and try Mott. And I'm looking forward to trying it out. That's why we're leveling up our Trinity. If you're a newer player and you're looking for a good Warframe to use in the steel path, you could try using the one I'm showing on the screen right there. I think I've got a build video. You can go check out lots of other build videos. There's some very straightforward builds for her. And Trinity, which my girlfriend is going to be playing as when we go to Mott, is also a very good Warframe to use for the steel path. Okay, guys, I'm done rambling on. Thanks for listening. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment section down below if you have any thoughts on all this stuff. I'd like to hear from you. It's good to know people actually watch the videos. But anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one.